Shantideva, the radical ethics of the Bodhisattva. Among the great figures of Indian Mahāyāna Buddhism, few are as quietly influential and as ethically radical as Shantideva. Living in the 8th century at the famed monastic university of Nalanda, Shantideva left behind no empire, no lineage, no institutional movement. What he left instead was a text, the Bodhicaryāvatāra, the Way of the Bodhisattva, a work that has shaped Buddhist moral imagination for more than a millennium. It is difficult to overstate the importance of this text in Tibetan Buddhism. It is memorized by monks, commented upon by philosophers, recited in rituals, and taught to beginners. The Dalai Lama has often said it is his primary ethical guide, yet its power does not lie in abstraction or metaphysics. It lies in something much more unsettling. Shantideva takes the Bodhisattva ideal and pushes it to its absolute logical conclusion. Not symbolically, not mythically, but psychologically and ethically. Shantideva's life, the hidden monk. According to traditional accounts, Shantideva appeared to be a failure as a monk. He was said to eat, sleep, and wander aimlessly, avoiding debate and study. His fellow monks mockingly referred to him as the one who knows 3 things: eating, sleeping, and defecating. When pressured to give a public teaching, Shantideva ascended the teaching throne and recited the Bodhicaryāvatāra from memory. As the story goes, midway through chapter 9, on wisdom, he levitated and vanished. Whether or not one takes this literally, the symbolism is clear. Shantideva represents a deeply Mahāyāna archetype, the invisible practitioner whose realization is hidden beneath ordinariness. This matters philosophically. Shantideva's authority does not come from institutional power, charisma, or mystical spectacle. It comes from the internal coherence and ethical extremity of his vision. The Bodhisattva Vow, a structural overview. At the heart of Shantideva's teaching is the Bodhisattva Vow. In its classical form, just as the previous Sagatas generated bodhicitta and practiced the stages of the Bodhisattva path, so I too, for the sake of all beings, generate bodhicitta and will train in those practices. This vow has 3 structural components. 1. Universal scope, all sentient beings without exception. 2. Temporal infinity across all lifetimes. 3. Ethical substitution, placing others' welfare above one's own. This is not a symbolic aspiration. Shantideva treats it as a literal ethical commitment. Exegetical core, the logic of radical altruism. Shantideva's ethics rests on a deceptively simple insight. Suffering is suffering, regardless of whose it is. From this he derives a devastating argument against self-centeredness. If the pain of one being is to be prevented, then why not prevent the pain of all? BCA 896. His reasoning is proto-utilitarian but grounded in Buddhist ontology. Since there is no permanent self, Anatman, privileging my suffering over your suffering has no rational foundation. The boundary between self and other is a cognitive fiction sustained by habit and attachment. Thus, compassion is not moral heroism, it is epistemic clarity. Seeing correctly leads inexorably to acting compassionately. The Bodhisattva Vow as psychological reprogramming. One of Shantideva's most modern insights is that ethical transformation requires cognitive restructuring. He does not appeal to divine authority, karma as threat, or metaphysical reward. Instead, he proposes a method of identity reversal. All the suffering in the world comes from wishing happiness for oneself. All the happiness in the world comes from wishing happiness for others. BCA 8129. This is not sentiment. It is a systematic inversion of default psychological conditioning. The Bodhisattva Vow becomes a form of contemplative neuroplasticity, training the mind to experience others' needs as structurally equivalent to one's own. In contemporary language, Shantideva is offering a therapy for egoic cognition. The vow in modern life, applied ethics. What does this mean today? Not mystical self-sacrifice, not sainthood, not burnout compassion, but 3 concrete transformations. 1. Ethical attention. The vow trains what we notice, whose suffering appears real, whose inconvenience matters, whose voice registers. In modern life, this means listening before defending, slowing reactions, treating irritation as diagnostic information. 2. Moral imagination. Shantideva expands the moral circle, not just humans, not just allies, not just the innocent, all beings. This reframes climate ethics, economic justice, structural violence, political polarization. The Bodhisattva vow does not ask who deserves care. It asks who is excluded from care. 3. Identity without narcissism. Shantideva dissolves the cult of personal enlightenment. Liberation is not escape from the world, it is re-entry into it without self-reference. The modern Bodhisattva does not transcend systems. They inhabit them without illusion. Shantideva's final gift, ethics without metaphysics. Perhaps Shantideva's most radical legacy is this. He offers a complete moral system without God, soul, absolute values, external commandments. Ethics emerges directly from non-self, interdependence, shared vulnerability. Compassion is not imposed. It is inferred. The Bodhisattva vow becomes the natural expression of seeing reality clearly, not a religious obligation, a logical consequence of wisdom.